All right, show me the money. NFL picks for Week 12. Thanksgiving week is here. Join me today to break it all down here. Guy whose team is at one of the, I'd say, most frequent non-Lions Cowboys participants on Thanksgiving. Joe Dalidio is here. Joe, how are you?
Mike, I am doing well. Always a pleasure to join you as we approach the Thanksgiving festivities. How you doing, buddy?
Doing pretty good, keeping busy as all, and like hoping that maybe we get a little spark from my Jets this week because they are getting national TV again on Friday.
Well, you've certainly got a lot of national TV and not a lot to show for it. Can it get any worse? I'm not sure.
I don't think it can get much worse.
It certainly doesn't seem like that.
Yeah, sure. Let's get to the Packers here for a moment here because obviously they come off a big win over a team I think is very overrated in the Chargers here, but nice to see Jordan Love have a huge effort offensively against LA on Saturday here. What did you take away from the Charger Packer game?
Well, let me start off by saying the Chargers continue to find ways to lose games, whether it's coaching or I don't know how much of the game that you watch on Sunday, just the miscues, drop pass after drop pass after drop pass. Like they had every opportunity to still win that game on Sunday and figured out a way to lose that game. So kudos to them for being as consistent as they come when it comes to messing up in big times and not being able to close out games or letting games get by them. But as for the Packers, obviously you always want to see the team that you root for win. But I think the main thing when you look at Jordan Love is the inconsistency. Now you could say it's his first year, and I'm tired of he's a rookie. He's not a rookie. He's been there for a while, but we've seen him do a lot of good. We've seen him do a lot of bad and a lot of in between. And right now, my overall thoughts on Jordan Love is he's average. He's in between. I don't think we've seen enough for anyone to be like, you have a franchise quarterback here, or you don't have a franchise quarterback here. And one of the reasons why I say that is there's been several weeks where the Packers have consistently been inept on offense. And I don't put it all on Jordan Love, but you haven't seen that week to week progression. I know I'm comparing apples and oranges, but look at someone like CJ Stroud, right? Rookie season. You could clearly see that week to week progression in a guy like that. And he's got that special talent, right? I haven't seen that week to week progression from Jordan Love. Now, a lot of people who may be listening will say, oh, well, look at what Aaron Rodgers did season one and look at what his stats were through his first X amount of starts. Well, yeah, great. I just don't know what I think it's too early to really give a true evaluation in what you have. Again, I'm leaning more towards you have an average quarterback at best who sometimes is going to make plays, other times is not going to make plays. And that'll only get you so far.
Yeah, I think the thing with Jordan Love is fascinating here is obviously like he sort of followed the Rodgers path to a degree where he sat for 3 years. He learned behind a future Hall of Famer. Now he's getting his shot and he's shown flashes. He's had his moments. Like, unlike a certain quarterback in New York, he's actually shown you that he can get the ball in the end zone on a consistent basis. But at the same time, it's like the expectations are so high and he doesn't have a lot to work with. So it's hard to get a true gauge on how good he really is.
Yeah, I really think that, and you said it, you made a great point there. It's hard to get a good gauge just because of also what he's working with. And again, I go back to like the inconsistency. I think expectations are high regardless because it's Green Bay. I will admit it's a spoiled franchise. I mean, they've never had a quarterback. They've never been in quarterback abyss, right? This is the first time where we really don't know. I guess you could say early on with Rodgers, you didn't know, but right after year one, he took that jump and it was, off and running. You had 25 years of Favre to Rodgers. You knew what you were getting. Now it's just, you don't know what you're getting. Again, though, now he had a great week against the Chargers on this past Sunday. Now you have a short week against a really good Lions team that you got absolutely punched in the face with at home, right? How do you respond now coming off a good week? Now, I don't expect Jordan Love to go out there and throw for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and play mistake-free football. But is he going to continue to make the right plays, keep the team in games or does he take a step back?
Yeah, there's certainly a fair question here. And obviously, we have the game coming up against the Lions on Thanksgiving here. I feel like it's been a minute since these two play on Thanksgiving here. And I think it's an interesting game here because the Lions are certainly vulnerable defensively. We saw that the Bears put up 26 on them on Sunday. They're not exactly lighting the world on fire offensively, but the Lion offense, very explosive. They can score points in a blink here. Like, I think the line of this game, I think is last I checked, was Lions favored by 7.5 points here. How do you feel about the Green Bay's outlook going into this game?
Yeah, I tell you what, based on their first matchup, uh, I don't feel very comfortable, to be honest with you. And one of the bigger concerns is that fact that the Lions offense could score a lot of points quickly. And I think if they got ahead early, then you're chasing, similar to what happened in that first matchup. They got ahead real quick and Green Bay had nothing. They couldn't figure it out. They couldn't come back to it. There are a lot of holes on that Green Bay defense. And you could say, if you're watching scoreboard watching and not actually watching the game, you could say, oh, well, they've kept it close. Teams aren't scoring that many points. But there are a lot of guys on that defense. Now, I'm not saying I could play in the NFL, but there are a lot of guys on that defense that probably wouldn't be playing on many other NFL rosters. I put it to you that way. That it's just the talent drop off is tremendous. Obviously, you have your Rashawn Garys and your Kenny Clarks and whatnot, but everywhere else there seems to be a very big discrepancy. And again, if the Chargers made some more plays, they had guys wide open all day. So I don't feel very confident about it. Obviously, you're going into it with some good positive momentum against the Chargers. You take that with a grain of salt. But, I think this Detroit team has a completely new mentality and has, flipped the switch. And you saw that last week on Sunday against Chicago, right? Years past, that's a game that Detroit loses. Right. Yep. Years past, that's a game that Detroit blows. And the fact that they didn't and they stayed composed and got it done, kudos to them. They're being coached. Their coaching is really showing up this year and for years to come.
Absolutely here. And two things I'll get to before we get to the picks here. Number one, I think it's a good time to check in on our preseason over-unders here because a few of those picks definitely took some wild turns. So we'll go ahead here. I have it on the YouTube version. I'm going to share this on here. So we're going to take a look at the over-unders we picked back in August here. So recap here. Joe picked the Patriots under 7.5. That one looks very, very good.
Oof.
Yeah. The Colts under 6.5. I think that's in trouble. They're already 5-5.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a bust.
Lions under 9.5, also very much in trouble. So they're 8-2. Yep. The Packers over 7.5. That one's got a chance.
I think that has a good chance. I mean, they have a really tough. Obviously, the next 2 weeks it's Lions, Chiefs, but you throw in the Giants there. You got to play some divisional games as well against the Vikings, which is completely different without Kirk Cousins. I think there's a shot.
Yeah. Giants over 7.5. We're not going to talk about.
Woo.
And Bengals over 11.5. That's a tough break because I feel like if Joe Burrow doesn't get hurt, you have a chance to get that number.
I mean, it's real tough. I mean, I think our Super Bowl pick was the Bengals, so it ain't looking too pretty right now.
I had Bengals 49ers preseason. I don't think that's happening anymore.
Yeah, I certainly not looking that way.
All right, what on my side here? Jets over 9.5. I thought this was a goner once Rodgers got hurt. Miraculously had a shot at this, I think, until for about through October, but the Jets reluctance to pull Zach Wilson, I think, cost you this one.
Just stop drinking the Kool-Aid. That ain't happening, buddy.
I said I had a shot when they were 4-3.
Oh, okay. All right. You had a shot, but I hope you weren't
them waiting too long to pull Wilson out killed me.
I'm not sure if you're going to have much more success moving forward, even without Wilson. But yeah, I think once Rodgers went down, that was kind of the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, Steelers under 8.5 is frustrating me because this team's been outgained in each of their 10 games. They're 6-4, which makes no sense. But
and they just fired their offensive coordinator. So does that help Kenny Pickett in that offense? Does it make it worse? Who knows? So that's a close one.
That's a close one. That goes either way. Jaguars over 9.5. They're going to get. They're currently 7-3.
That one looks good.
The Saints under 9.5. That one's going to be close.
That'll come down to probably the last week or two.
Yep. Vikings over 8.5. Thank you, Josh Dobbs. I saved my ass on that one.
Josh Dobbs, I mean, you got very lucky because the drop off when it comes to backup quarterbacks.
Yeah.
The fact that they make a move to get Josh Dobbs and they're still playing very competitively, kudos to them. So Josh Dobbs definitely saved you there.
Yeah. And the Broncos aren't even having thought this looked good about mid-October. Now Denver's hot, so that worries me.
Yeah, now they're on a real hot streak, but I don't know if they could keep it up. But they're right there.
And the thing that works in their favor against me is they play the Chiefs twice already, so they don't have to deal with them again.
Correct. That definitely helps. That definitely helps.
Yeah, so this one's gonna be a nail biter, I feel like, this year.
Absolutely.
All right, so that's the reset here. And also, you mentioned the Jets situation here because obviously we recorded this podcast this week. Zach Wilson has finally been benched. Tim Boyle, now the quarterback on Friday, presumably for the rest of the season, assuming he can stay healthy here. So, people may not know, but you actually know Tim Boyle a little bit. He's been on your podcast, the Sharp Chatter podcast. You've talked to him a little bit. He's done some photo work for his passing game. What can you tell Jet fans about Tim Boyle?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. I know just as much about Tim Boyle as all you Jet fans when it comes to how is he going to be in the game. I can't come here and say that he's going to light it up and he's going to do X, Y, and Z. But what I can tell you is who the hell knows, right? And just because of the unknown, you're already starting at in what I think a vantage point, right? You know what you had in Zach Wilson before this season. He didn't show you any progress while playing this season. It continued to get worse and worse and worse and worse. It's completely unknown what you're going to get with Tim Boyle. If Tim Boyle can move the ball down the field, the Jets have a good enough defense to win any game. I think that's fair to say. If he plays mistake-free football and can get the ball downfield a few times and get them in scoring opportunities, because of the defense, you have that opportunity. And not only just get down the field, but understand and have the awareness. Like, we didn't see a lot of his play against Buffalo, obviously, with limited action. But there was one particular play where Buffalo was blitzing, came right at him. He knew he was going to get hit, stayed in the pocket, makes a completion, gain of 9 yards. That's a play that Zach Wilson is scrambling, going backwards 15 yards, and the Jets are in a 3rd and 45 instead of a 3rd and 1.
Yeah.
Right? It can't get that much worse, well, based on the product that we've seen with Zach Wilson on this offense. I mean, you saw Tim Boyle in his first drive. They were moving the ball. Garrett Wilson puts the ball on the ground.
Yeah.
Right? So I can't sit here, and I don't think anyone could sit here and say, like, oh, it's going to change things. But you don't know what you have. Like, were Giants fans thinking that Danny DeVito would come in and be half decent? Again, I'm not saying Danny DeVito is a starting quarterback, but I mean, it says a lot when Danny DeVito has outperformed Zach Wilson. I'm just going to leave it at that.
I think you mean Tommy DeVito. Danny DeVito before Zach Wilson also could happen.
Yeah, you're right. Excuse me. I'm saying Danny DeVito. Exactly. Yeah. Tommy DeVito.
Yeah.
All right. But it just that's a good one. Oh my God. But it's a perfect example of that, is that here's a guy that had zero expectations, probably never thought he would really even see the field in the regular season or ever really. And he's outperforming a guy like Zach Wilson. So again, I can't say that Tim Boyle's coming in there and he's going to light it up and it's gonna rejuvenate this Jets season and keep them alive. But if you play mistake-free football, it could go a long way. And the biggest thing with Zach Wilson is he continued to make mistakes, but also as a team, they got to stop with the self-inflicted wounds, because it always seemed, even when Zach did make some good plays, there was some penalty that brought it back. There was always something. They are not a disciplined football team, the New York Jets.
No, they're not. And I think the big thing I noticed too with the Tim Boyle situation is, I think, in terms of like arm talent, no one will deny that Zach Wilson physically is more talent than Tim Boyle has. But I think Tim Boyle has the mental edge from being in the system for his basically his entire career compared to Zach Wilson. I think mentally, I think he's a better quarterback than Zach Wilson is, because like we saw it briefly in the game against the Bills on Sunday. Like, there was one spot Tony Romo called on the broadcast here that like he identified a blitz pre-snap and was shifting linemen to set protection here, and he knows where the ball needs to go, whereas Zach Wilson has a processing problem with that stuff. It's been evident for a few years. And like those kind of quick adjustments, when you have a line that's a little shaky here, that can help. And the bar is so low that like Zach Wilson basically was below the floor in terms of bad. He's into Jamarcus Russell, Ryan Leaf territory. if Tim Boyle can merely be mediocre and get in the end zone once or twice a game with their defense, they might be in a lot of games.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I also think Zach Wilson is not in that territory of Jamarcus Russell, Ryan Leaf. He is that territory. He's right there with him. Like it is one of the colossal busts of a quarterback taking that early in the draft. I mean, there's nothing more that you could say about it. Yeah, Boyle knowing Nathaniel Hackett's system definitely helps. Um, Again, it's just, can everyone else around him also help? Right? The offensive line stinks. The offensive line stinks. Like I always use this is you could have Patrick Mahomes playing quarterback, but if your offensive line can't give you a second to throw the ball, then it's going to be a long day. Now, if you have a quarterback that doesn't have the skill set and the talent that someone like Patrick Mahomes has, you really have no shot. I think what's important for Tim and the Jets on Friday is don't overcomplicate it. Don't overcomplicate it. And I think that's, it's the same thing that I continue to see with the Packers. Not to say that the offense is overcomplicated, but like it's 3rd and 3. You don't need to draw a play and go for 27 yards. You know what I mean? Like make it simple. You get 3 yards a pop, you're almost there every single time.
Yeah, we'll see for sure what happens there. Let's get to the picks, to the reason why you're here. So I have my friend Mike Kelly came on the podcast last week. He went a perfect 3-0. He had the Vikings getting 2 points on Sunday night. They won by 1. He had the Eagles in the game of the year last night. They won the game outright, so they covered the 2.5-point spread. He had
How about my buddy MVS dropping an easy touchdown? Whew, I've seen that a lot.
Yeah, that was like reminiscent of that 49ers Super Bowl when the pass went deep to Emmanuel Sanders. That was dropped also.
Yeah. Man, rough.
Yeah, so that went the other way for the Chiefs there, and he had the Rams getting the point in Seattle. They scored 10 straight to win outright here. So 3-0 for Mike last week.
Mike, I'm sorry, but I'm looking at your side. You really thought the Jets had a chance?
I thought they would cover the number. I thought the defense would keep them in the game.
Oh my goodness, Mike! Stop drinking the Kool-Aid. It's over. It's over.
Yeah, so I took them to +7 last week. I lost that one. I had the Cardinals +4. If I walked in 2 days later, I had the number. They ended up at 6, but getting at 4 of the spot was right, but I got the loss there. I did the Cowboys laying a 10.5. That was a lock.
I'll tell you what, though, 19-14 on the year, not bad. And you know that I'm picking this week, so it's only going to help you.
Yeah, the other side's 18-15, so pretty good picks coming out of the podcast this year. So we'll get started.
Thanks for putting all that pressure on me after I'm sitting here talking about Danny DeVito instead of Tommy DeVito.
Absolutely. Here. So let's get to some picks here. As the guest, you were up first here. So where are you going here with your first pick of the week?
Okay, first pick of the week. I'm going to get a little risque. I'm taking the Cleveland Browns on the road +2.5 against the red hot Denver Broncos. I like Cleveland at +2.5 solely because of their defense. And yes, Denver has been hot, but similar to what all of these mediocre quarterbacks have to do. Now, Dorian Thompson has his opportunity in Cleveland. If he plays mistake-free football, Cleveland's defense is good enough to beat the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos, I do not think, are that talented, despite how they've been playing over the last few weeks.
I like the pick. I think defense has been probably the best in the league this season statistically. Why not ride them when you're an underdog?
No, exactly. Why not? And again, Dorian Thompson, you don't have to do too much. You just can't make mistakes. You don't make mistakes, you're going to win this game.
All right, so that's pick 1. Where are you going with pick 2?
Pick number 2, I am going to go with the Tennessee Titans -3.5 against the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers have shown that they are the worst team in the league. And that's one of the bigger reasons why I feel comfortable. It's the number is a lot closer than I thought. And that could be because Will Levis is still unknown in terms of what his quarterback abilities are, but I do feel confident that Tennessee has just enough to be able to win by 4 or so.
Yeah, for me, that's a stay away because of the hook. I do not like the hook in that game being 3.5. If that was like 3 even, I would take it for the push, but the half point scares me off of it.
No, I totally get that, and I'm sure people that are looking at it will shy away from it. I just think that, Carolina has bigger issues all around, and it's been showing.
All right, we're going with your last pick of the week.
Last pick of the week, I am going with the Bucks on the road. So another road dog +2.5 against Indy. I think the NFC South's wide open. I think this is a crucial game for Tampa Bay to kind of continue to be in the running for that NFC South. and potentially win a division. Also with Indianapolis, I think this is a battle of two teams that have been completely inconsistent all year round, and that's why it's wide open. But I like the overall better team here in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. For me, that's also a stay away. I have no feel on the game, but if you have a feel on the game, I have no fault you going there.
No, and I just think like again, because of the inconsistency, I think it's a coin toss who could win this game, who could lose this game. But I think Tampa Bay has an overall better team. That's why I'm going that way.
All right, you're up. You're done with your picks. I'm up now here. Pick number one. I'm going to go to Thanksgiving night. I'm going to take the 49ers laying 6.5 in Seattle against the Seahawks here. And I think Seattle coming off the loss here, they're a bit banged up. They're not going to have Ken Walker in this game because of the oblique. Geno Smith has the elbow injury here. 49ers, once they got healthy, they have been clicking. They have been playing very well. They dominated Tampa last week. I feel like this team is peaking right now, and this is a big statement here to put themselves 2 up on Seattle with the tiebreaker in the division here. I'll take the 49ers laying the points. I think less than a touchdown is good for me. I'll take it.
Yeah, it's interesting because with the Seahawks here, this is their first meeting against the 49ers, and they'll play them twice in the next 3 weeks. And the Seahawks have a gauntlet of a schedule over the next 4. I mean, you have your Seahawks, they have your 49ers twice, Cowboys and Eagles. I mean, that's going to be the bread and butter of your season. You got to figure out a way to somehow get healthy here and start playing better football to get in.
All right, so that's pick number one for me. Pick number two, I'm going to go to the team that picked up the big win last time. I think the Eagles laying 3.5 at home against Buffalo this week on Sunday, the Sunday game of the week. I feel like the Bills, yes, they look much better this week, but again, the Jets, they could not move. They were not a threat to move the football at all. Buffalo really was very conservative on offense once they got the lead. They didn't have to play very hard to make Joe Brady look good as the coordinator here. Philly is a different challenge offensively. They have a lot of offensive firepower here. The Buffalo defense is still very banged up with injuries. I said a few weeks ago, I don't think the Bills make the playoffs. And I think the schedule is going to be a big part of why. So I think the downfall continues here. Give me the Eagles laying 3.5, pick 2.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Bills got the Jets at the perfect time when things were spiraling a little bit out of control. And it was a good pick me up, but I could easily see that going back into the direction it was pre that Jets game.
All right, so that's pick 2 here. Pick number 3 here. I'm going to go to Sunday football here. I'm going to take the Ravens laying 4.5 in LA against the Chargers here. And the fact the line is this close is mind-boggling because I know the Ravens lost Mark Andrews to injury last week. They've had 10 days off. The Chargers have the worst pass defense in football. Chargers are not a good football team. That team feels like it's going to start spiraling if things are out of control here. Brand Staley's on the hot seat here. The Ravens might be the team in the AFC that gives the Chiefs the toughest test for a Super Bowl run here. And they know that Kansas City lost. They have a chance to sort of make a push for home field throughout. I don't think they take a team like LA for granted. And again, road game against the Chargers means there'll be a lot of Baltimore fans in that building. So I will lay the points with the Ravens, pick 3.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I don't think anybody could pick the Chargers at this point, just on their track record of continue to figuring out ways to lose and blow games. It's unbelievable.
It really is insane because the fact that he kept his job after that collapse last year just tells you all you need to know the Chargers.
Well, and that's the thing. At what point, is this it for Brandon Staley? There's got to be the you said it best. How does he keep his job after last season? How does he continue to keep his job? I think if they end up going, this season ends up spiraling out of control, and it seems to be heading that way. Then yikes, he will be out of a coaching job for sure.
All right, so reset the picks here for the week. Joe is taking the Buccaneers getting 2.5 against the Colts. The Browns getting 2.5 against the Broncos. The Titans laying 3.5 against the Carolina Panthers. My picks: 49ers laying 6.5 on Thanksgiving against the Seattle Seahawks. The Eagles laying 3.5 home against Buffalo. And the Ravens laying 4.5 in LA against the Chargers. Those are your picks for week 12 here on the podcast. Coming up next week on the show, we're going to be joined by my friend Christopher Russo, host of the Sports and Wing Group podcast. Talk about New York football, more about the Jets, though, because the Giants are basically relevant at this point.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to say thank you in advance, or you're welcome actually in advance for giving you a bigger lead on Mike Phillips picks versus the guest picks. So you're welcome in advance.
Don't know that. You might have just put the reverse jinx on me there.
Maybe that's what I'm trying to do, but you're welcome. You're welcome. Mike, before you let me go, I got to ask you a question now.
Sure.
Favorite Thanksgiving side?
That's a tough one because for me, I think it's a tie between either the stuffing or the sweet potato casserole.
Okay, yeah, wow, okay. Sweet potato casserole, huh? You make a good one?
Yeah, it's a good one. Like the marshmallow topping makes everything.
See, I don't know if I too sweet for me, too sweet for me. I'm a big stuffing guy. Love
Yeah.
my stuff.
Yeah, you a classic stuffing guy, you like mix up the type of stuffing you use.
You give me any stuffing and I'm eating it.
Yeah, because I've seen lots of different types of stuffings here, whether it's like the traditional stuffing, you have a sausage stuffing. I've seen like even like variations like pasta in the stuffing. Like there's a lot of options.
Sausage, classic, whatever it is, give it a make, give it a little bit of gravy, I'm good to go.
Absolutely, Joe. Thanks for all the time. Really appreciate it. People want to follow you on social media. How can they do that?
Yeah, shoot me a follow on Twitter at Joe double underscore.
Don't forget the double. You will not find him otherwise.
Don't forget the double DALOISIO. So you can find me on Twitter and you could see me be very upset about the Green Bay Packers, typically.
Yeah, it might, especially if you're following Joe on Thursday and the game goes how Joe thinks it go, you might get some angry tweets right at your turkey.
Yeah, there definitely will be some angry tweets and some frustration, and I usually use Twitter to let my emotions out sometimes and complain about how terrible everything is. So
Look at the bright side though. What like if they do as badly, at least you're eating some stuffing afterwards.
the good thing is it's the first game, right? So like I can only be miserable for so long, and then I continue to enjoy and eat more, and then I eventually forget as I have a few cocktails and I eat some more. So and I can relax. So like if I had to wait all night, then forget it. Then it's just the anxiety, and then my day's around.
Yeah, and then by the time the pie comes out, you forget all that.
Forget it. Packers who?
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting for me because we're the first Black Friday game ever on Friday with the Dolphins here, which means like while people put up the Christmas tree, you're gonna be online shopping while watching Tim Boyle try and lead the Jets to stay with the
If
Miami.
there wasn't enough pressure on the New York Jets, baby. Black Friday. Here we go.
Yeah, apparently Amazon is going to be putting up deals during the game or something like that. Like, maybe I'd be curious to see like if we have Al Michaels telling us second quarter, oh, like go on Amazon right now, you can get an iPad for like $200 off.
By the way, I hate that it's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
Amazon,
That's we could talk hours here, Mike, but I hate it.
Amazon's asking for that game for years to have a Black Friday game.
Oh, I just hate it. Put it on network television. Let it rock. Let everybody have access to it.
Well, we're getting New York regardless. They'll be on free TV for the Jets, but like,
Correct. Correct. In New York, yes, but for everywhere else, I mean, ugh, I
yeah,
don't love it.
absolutely, Joe. Thanks for all the time. Appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving.
You too, buddy.